Uncle Howdy is a puppet. Now hear me out. This is what I'm seeing. This is what I'm thinking. This is my theory on the whole thing. I'm thinking Uncle Howdy is a puppet. From what we saw on SmackDown this week, when the camera pans down, it's panning down. You see this hat. It's got like barbed wire or thorns around the hat. You can kind of see a projection image shown. It's kind of like hitting off the hat, right? Like there's a screen somewhere in the room. So it's kind of reflecting off the hat, you would say. As it pans down, we then see the face, and the face is very sculpted. Very sculpted. You can tell it's not like a normal human face. Now, it could be a mask. It absolutely could be a mask. I'm not denying that whatsoever. It could be one of those high-quality silicone masks that really forms to your face, moves with your face. Coming from Tom Savini and Jason Baker at Coliseum Studios, it's going to be high quality no matter what. And I guarantee you, they made this, whatever it is. But when I look at it, just looking at it and how it's just dead still, sitting there, dead still, right? It's just sitting there. It literally is not moving whatsoever. No, people can do that. But when I'm looking at it, I get this sense of scale. Like, it seems maybe it's smaller than a human head, okay? Because when you see the thorns and stuff around the hat, they're pretty big compared to the head itself. And I want to call back to when the first puppets were revealed, okay? Now, of course, Mercy the Buzzard, when he was revealed, we didn't know what the hell was going on. There's a box, and it's smoking, and then this weird puppet pops out of it, and we're like, okay. Then that one's not the one I'm talking about. This particular vignette with Uncle Howdy reminds me of when they revealed the Abby the Witch puppet, where it was in that creepy dark room, and it's smoggy and whatever's going on in there. And now, of course, they revealed that puppet straight on. Like, there was no denying it, especially with the laugh and the mouth and all that. But this one, this scene, it just reminds me of that, like you're in that same room almost. It gives me that vibe. This is just me. It's just the way it's making me feel watching it. But when we see him, I'm just looking at this, and I'm like, this looks like a puppet. This looks like a new puppet. The puppet's name is Uncle Howdy. And then the other important thing to point out is that when you hear the voice, Howdy, it's like a very distinct voice that's being processed through some kind of processor, the same kind of processor that the puppet voices from the previous Funhouse were going through. And of course, as we know, Bray voices all the puppets. And so, when he's voicing them, it's going through this processor so they can alter the voice, which obviously they're altering the voice for this character on the screen, the Uncle Howdy thing, and that's going on. But when it got to the puppet, and I say puppet because I just feel like that's what it is, but when it pans down and we hear Howdy, that to me, it sounds like Bray doing a voice saying howdy. And it just gives me that vibe that this is a new puppet. That's how his voice is going to sound. And he's going to appear in the rundown, dilapidated Funhouse. I think that Uncle Howdy and Uncle Harper are two new puppets, and they're probably the only puppets. I don't think the other puppets are coming back. I think they're gone, okay? I think they've been set free because, remember, it said forget your past, forget your future, okay? So all those puppets represented his past and in some ways his future, like the Fiend and the Funhouse Bray. So with the saying, forget your past and forget your future, those puppets are no longer. And each one of them was derived from a personality of Bray. So when we talk about Uncle Howdy and Uncle Harper, I'm thinking this time it's two puppets, and they actually represent people in his family or close friends. Okay? Uncle Howdy clearly would be inspired by Barry Windham, his actual uncle. I have no clue if they called him Uncle Howdy, but that would be funny, right? So I'm saying that represents him, and then the other one may represent his grandfather. It may represent It may represent, Luke Harper in some form or fashion, which with the last name, that's probably where that's going. Imagine this. Camera's panning up. We see the dilapidated, rundown funhouse, which we've seen once. We've only seen it once, but we have seen already. And then Bray walks through the door. Now, it's not Funhouse Bray. It's just the Bray Wyatt we've been seeing on TV, the normal Bray, okay? He walks in the door. He's looking around, seeing how everything's kind of, really taking a turn for the worse. Nobody's been there in a long time. But then he introduces us. He talks to us, of course, how he does in the funhouse. And he introduces us to, oh, this is Uncle Howdy. And then that's when the Uncle Howdy puppet is shown to be in the funhouse. And he greets you by saying, howdy. And then he talks, and who knows what he has to say. And then we'll be introduced to Uncle Harper, the other one, which we have no idea about, because all we've seen up to this point is anything related to Uncle Howdy, or so we believe that's what it is. And with hearing, last night, howdy, obviously that's where we're at. Now, as far as the mask that Bray is wearing, that we've seen him wear, that he actually came out when he returned, and he was wearing that mask that he took off, and it's the mask in the video and the vignettes and stuff. That, I still believe, is the Uncle Howdy mask. And what I mean is, when he's going to wrestle a match, or maybe it's just when he wrestles a big match, that he draws the persona from one of the puppets. So it could be Uncle Howdy, or it could be Uncle Harper. If he's coming out and he's in that Uncle Howdy mindset, that personality of his, he'll walk out to the ring in that mask. Now, he'll still, I think, just, take the mask off and wrestle like he's Bray Wyatt. But I think that when he comes out, he has that mask on, signifying that, the Uncle Howdy persona is what's influencing him in this particular moment. And then it'll be something different maybe for Uncle Harper. We don't know. We haven't really seen anything on that yet. But I think that's what we're talking about here, because I also want to point this out. All this Firefly Funhouse and the puppets and all that stuff, and if this is new puppets, Uncle Howdy, and, the whole Firefly Funhouse, dilapidated, all that stuff. And, of course, the Uncle Howdy talking to him on the screen, hey, don't lie to the ones you love. Never lie to the ones you love. That's what was being said in the latest video. It's all in his head because it's all his personality, so he's, battling these things. The one thing that got messed up the first go-around with this idea is I personally truly believe, and I still believe this because of what he said later down the line, which we'll get to, is that the original Firefly Funhouse, when that first came to be, all that was supposed to be in his head, okay? He even, you go back and you listen to the dialogue in those first 6, 7 episodes. You listen, especially in the first episode, this is his special place where he can be himself or be free or whatever, okay? It's all supposed to be in his head. The puppets are all supposed to be in his head and everything else. What messed it up, and the real person is obviously Bray Wyatt, who comes out dressed like the Fiend, and that's what that was, okay? And it was never, I don't think ever, supposed to be this overly supernatural character that was indestructible and all this shit. I don't ever think it was supposed to be that. And I don't think Bray even wanted it to be that. And I don't think Bray ever wanted the puppets to come out of the funhouse, because this is where it got messed up. Vince McMahon destroyed the whole idea from the jump, not even a month in. He decided he wanted the puppets out and interacting with the other wrestlers, and people can find the funhouse and they go in it and everything else. No, I don't think that's where he wanted to go with it. I really don't. Maybe he did, I don't know, but I feel like that was a Vince McMahon call to sit here and, oh, well, you can find the funhouse and the puppets can be out roaming around. No. I just don't think that's where he wanted it to go. I really don't. I think that his original intention was that was supposed to be all in his head. Okay, the whole fun house and everything else was just supposed to be like in his head, and that's his safe place or whatever you want to call it, right? Because when you go back and you read some of the things he wrote on Twitter, like when he was mocking up the whole staying in a mental institution, and there were other imagery that went along with that. And even in the funhouse, there'd be flashes of things and all this stuff that related to that. And it really, in my opinion, gave me the vibe that the whole thing was in his head, the Firefly Funhouse and the puppets. I don't think they were ever supposed to be out roaming around. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's just my theory on that. And so I think this time around, this is kind of like an evolution of the same idea, only we're going a little bit different direction. We're not just going to redo that same thing because it would make no sense to redo that same thing. So now we're going to have this dilapidated funhouse, and we're going to have Uncle Howdy, who's one puppet, and Uncle Harper, who's the other. These still could be real people. These still could be people that he takes in, and it's a group, but I have something to say about that after the fact. But we have Uncle Howdy, one puppet. Uncle Harper is the other puppet in this dilapidated funhouse, okay? And it's in his head. It's in his head. That's why when he comes out to the ring, he's just going to be wearing that Uncle Howdy mask, the one we've already seen. He's just going to be wearing that when he comes out to the ring, when he's got the whole Uncle Howdy vibes going on, right? Howdy. And so, same goes for the Uncle Harper persona. It would be, he's just going to come out wearing like whatever it needs to be, okay? I don't think you're going to see, Uncle Howdy interacting with Matt Riddle and Seth Rollins and everybody else. Bray Wyatt with the mask on as Uncle Howdy, yeah, but not the puppets. I think the puppets will, I could be wrong, man. I am going out on a limb here. I could be very wrong, but I don't think the puppets will actually interact with the wrestlers. It'll just be things that we see from Bray in his mind. But this new direction that he's taking it with this new, idea with Uncle Howdy and Uncle Harper, this whole idea, and then also having the normal him, just his normal self, allows this to be on a bigger level than what he wanted to do before it got all ruined. Now, even though we see the dilapidated Firefly Funhouse and the two puppets in his mind, so to speak, he can still talk to us in reality, out in the ring, in the back cutting a promo, anything like that, because we've been introduced to this normal Bray, one that isn't a figment of anybody's imagination. He's actually out there. We can actually see him, and he's actually talking to us. He doesn't necessarily have to talk to us through the funhouse like how Funhouse Bray had to talk to us through the funhouse, and you would really only get the Fiend out in the ring. That's how it started, and that's how I think it was supposed to go. But then, Vince was like, oh my God, we got to put the puppets out there. I don't know. But it's good because it allows normal Bray to come out to the ring, cut promos, things like that, without the handcuffs of, well, I can only cut the promos in the funhouse because it's supposed to be in my head. That all got thrown out the window as soon as people could find the funhouse or the puppets are out roaming around. That just isn't, Now, on this final note of other people coming in and him having like a little stable or a group, okay? Here's my idea and theory on that, where I think that might be coming from and might go. Even with everything I'd said about the puppets, the two new puppets, the dilapidated funhouse, it's all in his head, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and normal Bray and all that stuff, I still believe that there will be some kind of a group of people. Now, why is that? Because I think that, normal Bray on the outside, away from the stuff that's in his mind, may see other people that have kind of similar issues as him or in that same ballpark, like Liv Morgan maybe is one. And maybe we get introduced to two new ones that we've never met before. And he just says, these are friends of mine that helped me along the way. And, they mean a lot to me and this and that and a third. But they're not Uncle Howdy and Uncle Harper. Uncle Howdy and Uncle Harper are the puppets in the funhouse. These two guys would be different and unrelated to that. And I still think that could be Vincent and Dutch. Or maybe Bo Dallas comes along and he's helping his brother kind of rein in and can, try to figure out how to deal with this problem that he has, right? Because we also did get a little mental evaluation page on the QR code that was on the vignette tonight. But I'm thinking that yeah, I still think there's going to be people that he has that follows him and then becomes like a new family, a new group, whatever. But I think it's unrelated to Uncle Howdy and Uncle Harper and this dilapidated funhouse that idea that I'm going with, obviously. These are just my ideas, folks. These are just opinions, theories, things and places where I'm thinking it's possibly going just based on how Wyndham Rotunda thinks, even though we all don't know really how he thinks, but based on what evidence I have of the history of his style, that's where I think it's probably going. So, yeah, I do think there will still be a group. Maybe they're called the Circle because he did say that, right? You know, he follows the circle, whatever he said. Maybe they will be called the Circle. Maybe he'll call them the Circle. And it's a circle of people that all have similar, issues going on. And Bray brings them in because he sees something in each one of them that kind of sees him in himself. And Bray himself is a servant to this thing in his mind, Uncle Howdy and Uncle Harper. He's a servant to that now on the inside of his mind. Going back to that cult leader type vibe, but a very different kind of cult leader. Not the backwoods Bray cult leader. Hopefully people are seeing now that I said it before when he came out, when he returned and came out, I'm like, he did come out with the lantern and he did the I'm here and all that stuff, but he didn't give me backwoods cult leader Bray vibes. He gave me this different, much more advanced almost cult leader type vibe. He's more normal, looks like he fits into normal society, but he's really this kind of, So that's where I think that's going with more people being added into his little circle. I know I haven't had any other, I didn't get any reviews in this week. I was busy. Sorry about that. It's kind of turning into a Bray Wyatt news channel, which, hey man, if you don't like that, I don't know what to tell you. Because at the end of the day, well, this is a Bray Wyatt channel, so. But today I just wanted to get this out there because I've been thinking about this. And I know there's other, tidbits that happened with his promo, and then, of course, the Man That Sold the World lyrics and all that stuff. And, of course, the promo he cut as normal Bray and how his words and his mannerisms changed as the Code Orange song played and fit with what the lyrics are in the Code Orange song where, you start with anxiety and as it goes on, he kind of calms down and really focuses and he's really, now he's at peace with what he's doing, something like that. So I know there was all that, but the one thing that I was gravitating towards is as soon as I seen that figure on the screen, Howdy, I'm like, that looks like a puppet. People are saying that's a person, and it very well could be still. Like I said, it could be one of those high-quality silicone masks coming from Calisum Studios. It's hard to tell because they're so damn good at what they do. But when I look at it, I'm getting a vibe that it's a puppet, especially with the voice. As soon as that voice said howdy, I'm looking at this and then going back and pausing it and really looking at it. It's a high-quality puppet, I think. A high-quality prop. If I'm wrong, that's fine. But that's where I'm at right now with looking at this. So there you go. That's all I really got to say about that. I'll catch you all down the road.